Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk, guys. La capolista se ne va. Napoli is 3 points clear of Inter, guys, with 4 games to go. And that is how crazy life can be, how crazy this Scudetto race is. Because, man, if you had told me this 7 days ago, I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have believed you. But this is the situation, guys. 4 games to go, and I couldn't put it better than Jesse's comment just now that says our players are dying, limping, hurting, and yet we keep winning. What a team of warriors, guys. I mean, you saw it, no? With Buongiorno, Anguissa, Lobotka, everybody is just so dead, so tired. And look, Inter on the other side as well. You know, everybody's reaching this part of the season like this, but the difference is that these guys are getting the 3 points in the last few games, and it's making all the difference in the world. And some of those games that we criticized them, you know, that the draw against Roma in the final minute, the draw against Bologna, everything now is coming into perspective when you see just how good this Roma team is with Ranieri and the trouble that they've caused Inzaghi, guys. And so, you know, it just puts everything back into perspective. And, you know, speaking of Ranieri, dilly ding, dilly dong, guys. What is this man cooking over there in the capital? Whatever it is, man, he has given us a huge help, and it's a guy who has been the coach of Napoli. I think he's everybody's kind of second favorite coach. You know, you like the one that's on your team, and then if you had to choose someone else, you go for Ranieri. Such a great guy, and I mean, I don't really care what what Roma does, but I'm happy that they won today, obviously. And let me tell you guys, it was tough to prepare for this game for me to watch it. I bet for you guys as well. I had to take a walk before this game because my nerves were just, I just didn't feel in control of what I was feeling, and so I just imagine the players, going into this game. But dude, they were so up for it. They were so pumped, and you could just see it, no, from the way Lukaku started. When I'll go straight into it. Like, guys, Lukaku, as soon as kickoff, boom, he's there running and tackling players, and that was Lukaku in the first few minutes of the game, really setting the tone, really saying, look, we're gonna be here to win. That's the desire that we have. That's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna be afraid. So I really, really liked the way that we started that game, and I think it really set the tone, and especially the first half. You got it. We got it done in the first half, and that's the most important. See you in Napoli end of May, Dom. Guys, I want to see as many people in May in Naples. Like, I don't care what kind of commitments you have. Like, you got to make sure that you're there. Look, I already had this conversation with my boss this week. I said, listen, man, I know we're in a project right now, and like, but end of May, I'm gonna call in sick. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna let you know. I'm gonna need a day off on at the end of May because we're gonna be partying. I can just feel it. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to, but I just I don't see how now we can blow this with 4 games to go, because I feel like today was the hardest game. It's, can you make that mental step up of saying, I want this more than Inter? This was the day. that was the hardest, because this is the day that you have to step up and be better than Inter. Now, the games that we have, they're not going to be easy, of course. But I feel like now mentally we've unlocked something that wasn't there before. And we've proven that if we need to get the 3 points, we're there for it. And we want this title. And the way I think that we played the second half, guys, also, I think we were in control. We didn't let Torino back in the game. They didn't have shots on goal. Like, I really think that the way that we played is enough to see us through the next 4 games, considering who we have to play. Like, I think if we just keep this level, then we should be fine. But let's see, guys. Thank you, Napoli 41428 for the donation, man. Very much appreciated the $5. And he says Scott McTominay is a man possessed. Also, I hope Anguissa resigns with the club. Beautiful assist to Scott for the first goal. Yeah, look, McTominay, he is the signing of the season, probably if not in the Serie A, maybe in the entire of Europe. I mean, this guy is literally single-handedly bringing a club to a title. Um, you just don't have that anywhere else, right? Like PSG, they win the title by themselves. Liverpool have won the title this year, but they didn't really sign anyone new. It's pretty much the same team. Barcelona look like they might be winning the title, but they didn't really sign anyone significant. The guys that are doing this for them are the ones that were already there last year. I mean, you could you could argue Chesney. What what a great retirement plan for Chesney, winning 2 trophies. That's a great way, possibly three. That's a great way to retire. No, just to get even more success. But look, I think around Europe, you're not gonna find a club who has needed a player as much as Napoli has needed Scott McTominay in terms of a new signing, right? Not that he's the most decisive player in Europe, but just as a new signing. I hope Conte stays. Forza Napoli sempre. And thank you, LC, for the $4.99 donation. Man, I think he stays at this point. Because if he wins the title, then he's got nothing to prove. His worry is coming second, and then the expectation the next year is to win the title, and maybe he doesn't do it, and then it means that after 2 years you didn't win anything, no, and then you might be considered like a bit of a failure, or not you, but your experience there. But if he wins the title year one, then the pressure's off next year because he's already done his job. I mean, guys, you win a title with Napoli, you're done. Like you can chill, like no one's ever gonna hate you or anything. Like you're automatically like a semi-god. I mean, even these players, after last year, we excused everything last year and they finished 10th, because they built up so much credit. And now with 2 Scudettos in 3 years for some of these players, I mean, look, they can do whatever they want. Like we go back to this comment from Napoli 41482. I hope Anguissa resigns. I hope so too, man. I really hope so too. At the same time, look, if he decides to leave, Anguissa, man, like thanks for the ride together, man. You're free to go. Like, dude, you really put in a shift for this club, and a protagonist for both Scudettos. At this point, bro, like go grab that bag of money wherever you need to go grab it. Think about you and your family. Like do what you want, like you've done what you had to do, and that's how I feel towards these players. Should we win, especially a second Scudetto, that wasn't me. That's the neighbor upstairs moving the table. If you guys heard a noise, sounds like a fart. Obviously, it's not me, guys. But then it makes me sound really guilty by me saying it. Anyways, let's move on. Mike Xstad, thank you, man, for the $5 donation. I swear I will get to other comments as well. I just want to thank those that are putting in the donation, obviously. First, is Torino friendly with Napoli or standard Northern club relationship? Always found them interesting. Can you explain the protest in Lecce today? Forza Napoli sempre. So I think Torino's a great club. You know, I think they obviously maybe you guys know the story. You know, they were the most successful team in Italy back in the day in the post war era, but the plane crashed with a bunch of their players, and then they were always in the shadow of Juventus. And because we have such a strong rivalry towards Juventus, and Torino has it towards Juventus as well, it's kind of like the enemy of my enemy, is my friend. So I wouldn't say we're like super duper friendly, but we definitely don't have any animosity towards each other because we recognize that we have that common enemy, and there's a lot of respect for Torino as a club because of what happened and because of what they had achieved and what they could have achieved had a tragedy like that not happened to them. About the Lecce thing, guys. Um, the the issue is that a few days ago, one of their physios passed away. Like he was literally just like 40 years old or whatever, and he'd been at the club since he's 18, 19. Like this guy has basically grown up at the club, always been a physio there. His dad worked at the club for 10 years, I think, as well as a physio. So this is someone that's like super embedded in Lecce. He passed away in the hotel room before the Atalanta game. Okay. And obviously, the players were the ones that discovered that he had died. Like they moved in, like they broke through the door of the hotel room when they found out that he wasn't there for breakfast or whatever. And they discovered that he passed away, and it's very traumatizing. And they wanted to move this game a bit later because I mean, think about it, like guys, they probably didn't even have enough time yet to process what happened. They're still probably shocked. I don't even think they probably had funerals for this yet. And instead, the Lega Serie A said, no, we can't move the game. But it makes no sense not to move the game because in the end, Atalanta and Lecce, they don't have other games midweek that, cause a problem. And it's not like they're going to lose huge amounts of TV money by moving in Atalanta Lecce. It's literally like four people that are watching this game, in Bergamo and Lecce. So it wouldn't have made any difference whether they played today or whether they could move the game in 3 days' time and allow the players to properly, um, like not get over it because it's hard to get over it, but to properly, pay respect to the physio. And so Lecce, because they got their request denied, they went onto the field with a completely white shirt, and instead of the logo, they had the black ribbon. You guys know what I'm talking. I don't know if there's like a specific term for that, but they had the black ribbon, and then they had a writing on their shirt that I think it said no honor, no values, or something like this. Like basically an insult, not an insult, a protest towards the Lega Serie A, the league, essentially saying that the league has no values and no nothing. And they said, look, like it seems like nobody cares about the people at our club. Probably this wouldn't have been the case if it was a bigger club. This is not the way that things should be handled. So that's what happened with Lecce. Payment that guys in the house. Esseneva. We are close now. Atmosphere was amazing. Payment was sending me some videos and messages from the Maradona, man. What an experience to have been there, and I can imagine you had a lot of fun, man. Let's go to some of the earlier comments. Gustavo Braz, let's go, Forza Napoli. What a win, says Paolo. Inter falling apart at the right time. Daniel says Napoli Dailing is here. I don't know what language this is, but yeah, let's go, man. Whatever you say. I said earlier that I am McTominay sexual. Yes, I confirm that, this guy, like, he makes me feel things when he puts that ball in the back of the net. It's just I can't explain it, man. I just can't explain it. Whenever that ball goes in the back of the net, and it's going a lot recently, it's just something inside of me, you know. Gustavo Braz says my favorite food is McDonald's. I like that too. I like that too. Idle Scorn says Forza Napoli. Time to beat Cagliari next week. We need to extend the lead. Inter's wobbling. Yeah, we need to go right now on Inter. Like we gotta build up as many points as possible, and yeah, hopefully, guys, we can get this wrapped up as soon as possible. Hopefully Inter keep losing points. Like I do not want to go to the last game of the season. McTominay, one of the best midfielders in Europe. I used to think he was world class. Now I think he's different class, exceptional. Look, McTominay, he is really reaching that kind of level. I had no idea he had this in him. I had no idea. I knew that he was a good player. I thought he would get his 6 or 7 goals. He'd be decisive, but I didn't expect him to dominate the midfield like he's doing. Like I expected him to score because I knew that that was part of his game, and I spoke about it in August. Like I expect this guy to get a few goals, but I did not think that he had the technique and the awareness, the spatial awareness to, draw in the fouls at the right time, make the right passes, like be in the right position. Like I just did not know he was that smart. I really am surprised by McTominay, and I don't think he was at this level at Man United. I think the coaching staff did a great job with him, but obviously, credit to him for having the minerals, as they say, to be able to, uh, you know, to do this. It has to be extracted from somewhere. He has the talent within him. What a collapse by Inter! I expect Inter to drop point. I expected Inter to drop points, but they haven't even scored a goal in 3 games. Lecce is next, right? Very tough game. Relegation teams are always difficult. Yeah, dude, Lecce is a tough game. They've basically played against Atalanta today, 1-1. So, not an easy game, and they are fighting to stay up. They've got 27 points, Venezia 25. Those are the 17th and 18th uh, place teams. So, Lecce's fighting for their lives. They're gonna be even more motivated. Sucks to say, but because of what happened to them, they're gonna be even more motivated because of their physio passing away. They're gonna want to do it for him. They're gonna want to do it for him. Let's go a little bit into the game, guys, and let's make sure that you guys are smashing that like button. So as we said, we talked about Lukaku at the start. Super motivated, running at the goalkeeper from kickoff. Getting slide tackles in. I mean, this guy, I thought he was gonna score some goals today because he just looked really, really on it. A bit disappointed with his performance after this, but this set the right tone for everybody else, and I think it's worth highlighting. Now, let's get to the goal, guys, because I think this was a really nice maneuver. So, it all starts with moving the ball very quickly from left to right. Buongiorno to Lobotka to Di Lorenzo, and, Torino did not move fast enough from their right to left to close down the spaces. And Anguissa, like he always does, he sees these spaces. He makes a looping run. And also, watch out for McTominay, who's going to score the goal. Look at his position over there, completely unmarked. And so, he starts the action like this and he ends it like that, like without anybody really, following his run. And that's a little bit on Casadei, who was man marking him today, but he loses him in this instance, and so someone at the last minute has to go picking him up. But we'll get to that later. Di Lorenzo gets the ball, beautiful weighted pass to Anguissa, not too wide, not too close to the goalkeeper, just in the right spot to cause problems to that Torino defense. And when Anguissa gets there and puts it into the box, McTominay is there, and you can see, look, Casadei is the number 22 next to the penalty spot for Torino. He's miles away from his man. That's the guy that's supposed to be marking McTominay, but McTominay really is able to strike without without Torino even knowing that he's going to be there. I'm gonna take a pause here at the 1-0 and go back to the comments. I'm gonna flip through different different screens. I'm gonna try something a little bit different because sometimes I just go, one section and one section and one section. Now I'll do a little bit of flicking through. Partenope says, thank you, Atalanta, for taking Brescianini. Yeah, man, remember that whole thing about we were about to get Brescianini, then Atalanta swooped in, and so we got McTominay. That's a huge sliding doors, man. A huge sliding doors in this story of this year. Take a bow, Scotty. Take a bow. Four finals left. Temeto says Scott reminds me of Vidal during Conte's era in Juventus. He was the top goal scorer. Yeah, yeah, to some extent, yeah. I think Scott's a little bit different. Vidal was a lot more rough around the edges, let's say. But I think Scott's that perfect balance between maybe a Vidal and I don't know. The thing is, I don't think he had a player like Scott at that time. I think he's more, as I said last week, and I won't go over it again. I think he's a lot more like a Frank Lampard, someone who, is a bit box to box and then gets in the end of crosses at the end of the day. And, he can easily score, um, you know, once every 3 or 4 games by playing like that. He's done it like 4 times in a row now, which is crazy. But this is the type of play that allows you to get those kind of numbers, with like 10 goals a season kind of thing. Right. Scotty Mac coming in clutch. Yeah, man. Looking more possible after today. Hello, Forza Napoli. Scott, what a man. Everybody's talking about Scott, man. If we're able to win with all these injuries and thin squad, I wonder what we will be able to do next season if we have a 10 out of 10 Mercato and keep Conte. Great performance for the team. Yeah, dude, the Mercato is going to be super interesting. But I think Inter shows us that it's not enough to have a deep squad because Inter have a deep squad. Um, so it will be interesting to see how we can manage it. I don't think it's going to be easy to play across 3 competitions. Even if we sign 5 or 6 players, it's still going to be super tough. Still going to be super tough. I think signing 5 or 6 players is like the minimum that we need to even try to put up some kind of fight next year whilst we've got Champions League football as well to play. So, I think we are probably 2 years away still from being able to fight properly for the title and properly think about a deep Champions League run, you know? And I think for next year, we just have to, try to get past the group stages, maybe a sneaky quarterfinal. But, I don't know if we have the squad to go super deep into all competitions. I mean, it would be great if we do, right? But um yeah. Let's see. You say too many times we need a strong Roma, Lazio, Milan, Atalanta to make the interway more difficult. Yeah, yeah. And look, that's the beauty about this Serie A is that, man, these teams, like, they are tough to beat, you know? Like, the top 10 teams in Italy, they are all super tough to go up against. And You might come out with 3 points, but they make it really difficult for you. And Inter still have Lazio to play against. So, we drew against Lazio. So, and we lost against Lazio in the Coppa Italia and everything. So we know how hard it is to go there. Well, Inter will be at home, but we know how hard it is to play against Lazio. And they call him McHamsick. Isn't it crazy, guys, how McTominay, Mertens, and Maradona are and Marek Hamsik all have an M either as their first or last name. I mean, dude, what kind of conspiracy theory is that? Like we just gotta sign players that have an M either somewhere, like either as the first letter of their first name or first letter of their second name. I mean, it's like guaranteed success, you know? I don't think I don't think anybody's ever thought of that before. This is why Napoli need me as their scout, you know? Just dude, don't care about talent. Just get someone with an M in their name. That's what you need. Like Mazzocchi, bro. Exactly, bro. Like Meret. Meret and Mazzocchi. Exactly. Pure, talented, incredible players as well. And that's what you need. That's what you need. Guys, give me your worst. Give me your worst. Matteo Politano. That's true. Give me your worst Napoli player that starts. His name starts with an M, either the first name or last name. I want to see the other side of this. Like, give me the worst. I'm gonna think as well in the background if I have anyone. Um, but yeah, I want to see. Guisa, Mobotka. These are good. These are good. Matteo Politano. Morgan De Santis. Wow, man, what a memory. Massimo Crippa. Wow, Morgan De Santis, man, what a memory, dude. Mario Rui. Mario Rui. Dude, I'm telling you, all legends, bro. Dude, all the legends have an M in their name. Maximovic, dude, he's a legend. That performance against Liverpool in that one Champions League game where Ancelotti played him as right back, you cannot tell me that wasn't a top five all-time Champions League performance by anybody ever. Dude, you cannot convince me otherwise. That guy looked like a prime Cafu. I swear to God. Okay, now we're getting to the serious contenders. Manolas and Malquid. Wow, now we're getting serious, okay, with these contenders. This is man. Manolas is probably the biggest disappointment ever. Malquid, the guy, dude. Dude, life just got better when he left. Like, Malquid left and Napoli won a Scudetto, maybe 2 in 3 years, There's a clear like before and after. Milik, bro, Milik was good at one point. Milik, he had started very well if it wasn't for injuries. Manolo Gabbiadini, dude, was very nice. I liked him. He looked like, the he looked like somebody had died very close to him every single day because the guy never smiled. The guy was just constantly sad. Okay? Um, but he had a sweet left foot, Manolo Gabbiadini. And I think if he was in the team now, he would definitely be playing more than Simeone. I mean, he's much better than Simeone. So yeah, Minje, because you know his last name starts with. Bro, you won, Michu. Okay, Michu. Bro, how did this guy Viero? How did you find the two most traumatizing players ever, and they both also start with an M? And Malquit, bro, I can never forget what he did against Empoli. Okay, the first of Spalletti's years, and Michu, bro, I was there. I was there at the stadium, bro. I was there. It was August against Athletic Bilbao. He comes on after a great season with Swansea, where he's this great player for Swansea and everything, and we sign him, and I think it's Callejon. I can't remember if it was Callejon, but I think Callejon passed the ball to him, and the whole stadium goes, no, 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 it's not Callejon that passes the ball to him. Someone else passes the ball to him, and he's in the box, and the whole stadium shouts, Tira! Like everybody's shoot, Tira! And the guy passes it to Callejon, and Callejon's like not even like he didn't expect the ball because it was so obvious Michu had to shoot, and obviously then we didn't score, and we don't make it into the Champions League because this was like the playoff for the Champions League. Um, but man, dude, this was a crazy throwback, dude. I did not think we would be talking about Michu today, bro. What? Man, it's crazy. Life be crazy sometimes. Anyways, seeing Elmas in the Maradona, dude, yeah. Dude, Elmas in the Maradona, it it hits, man, dude. It hits your heart. Dude, he wants to celebrate with us. Like his Instagram is still him holding the Scudetto trophy with a Napoli shirt. Dude, do you realize like this guy plays for another Serie A team and his Instagram profile has his profile picture as him as a Napoli player? I mean, dude, that is for me that's crazy. Like that's like he doesn't even care at that point, honestly. Dom GOC says, Dom, my brother, I could hug you right now, top of the table. We look great, but the job isn't finished. Let's stay locked in, bro. 100%. We gotta lock in. All right, dude, we gotta lock in. Okay, we gotta make sure that we do this. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. Okay, I just saw this one. This one's funny. This one's funny, man. This one's funny. Lindstrom. Dude, Lindstrom is funny. If I could if I could give uh like like a trophy to you, man, as like best comment of the day, I think this one takes it. This bro, Lindstrom, that's another traumatizing name. But less traumatizing than Michu, bro. Less traumatizing because Michu, I was there, bro. I was there. I swear. I think everybody like the thing is, it was the first game of the season, the first game preseason basically, and this guy already ruined himself. Like, can you imagine? You have an entire 12 months to go somewhere. You just signed for the club, and you've already cost them something. Like speak about a bad first day at your job. I mean, doesn't get worse than Meet You, bro. Um, anyways, let's go back a little bit to what happened in the game because I mean, it was quite cool to see how Napoli was setting up. I don't know if you guys noticed. I mean, we speak about it a few times, but Oliveira's position in recent games has been quite interesting, no? Like playing almost as that third midfielder and Lobotka dropping deep. So, when you have your formations, right, you have Anguissa on the right, Lobotka in the center, and McTominay on the left. But what ends up happening actually is that you get this diamond shape over here where Lobotka sits deep in between the two central defenders. McTominay pushes up centrally, Anguissa to the right, stays on the right, and Oliveira on the left. And it just allows us to have a little bit more passing options down the center. What it does is that it also frees up, I think, a lot of space on the right for Di Lorenzo. Di Lorenzo, then also Politano, because you basically crowd a little bit more the center. You draw in some players that maybe are would have normally have been a bit closer to Di Lorenzo, they just get drawn in because the midfielders of Torino need more support because Oliveira's there. And so it just allows Di Lorenzo a bit more space. And we see that with the first goal. He's got space to find the pass. He's got space to control it, look up, see the run that his players are doing, that his teammates are doing. And I think this is working really well, and I think it all starts with that Oliveira position. But yeah, I think it's a great little tactical find, that Conte has is, let's just put a bunch of bodies there and we free up some space somewhere else. What I found also interesting is then how we defend. And I just want to highlight that, we defend often with McTominay as our third center back, where you have McTominay, Rachmani, and Buongiorno. And I think it makes total sense. It makes total sense that he drops back because he's tall. He can get headers. He's got great timing. And I think it's, 2 or 3 times that crosses came in and McTominay was there to clear it. Okay. And you'll see that it's instead Lobotka that is now the highest up of the midfielders. And you'll see that it's often Lobotka, the one that's pressing the Torino defense or whatever, no? So it's when we have the ball, McTominay is further up and Lobotka's further back. When the other team has the ball, they switch Lobotka further up and McTominay further back. And I think it's really cool. Like, it's a really cool way to optimize each player's characteristics. And, it takes a lot of training, I think, to do that. You have to get those things right because you don't want both players being up or both players being back and not having that communication because then you're exposed too much one way or another. Maximus, man, welcome to Club Azzurro, man. I appreciate you joining and becoming a member. Let's see. Lecce, Genoa, Parma, and Cagliari. That's who's left, guys. That's who's left. These are all clubs that should be, in theory, should be 3 points each game. When you take a look at these clubs, it should be 3 points. The Cagliari one at the end of the season, that scares me a little bit, if I'm honest, because Cagliari, they might not be safe. Like the Lecce and Cagliari one scare me a bit more because they might not be safe. I don't want to face Cagliari final game of the season if they're not yet safe. I don't know how many points Venezia will get in the next few games, but I really hope that Cagliari is already safe when we get to that final game, that their players are already thinking about which Lido they want to be in Formentera or, whatever the case is. Dude, I just want them to be on full vacation mode when they go up against us. I don't want them to be fighting for their lives. So that's the one that scares me, man, the Cagliari one. But yeah, because I think now, like the next few games, I think we will be riding a lot of enthusiasm, even against Lecce, against Parma. I think, or Genoa, there will be a lot of enthusiasm, okay, of like, yeah, we're gonna win. But the last game, that's nerve-wracking. That last game, that's when I think it's less enthusiasm and more, oh damn, like this is it. And we saw it 2 years ago when we had to get that final point or that final win against Salernitana. they played the game of their lives against us because we're rivals, and we crumbled, you know? And we were crumbling against Udinese as well. Like it's that last step. So that last game, man, is what scares me. Um, Feo M says, just tuning in now, would love to know your thoughts on the Anguissa rumors. Thanks for the live, Dom. Forza Napoli, sempre. Welcome to the live, man. Look, as I said, I think Anguissa, if he leaves, then he's been a great, great, great servant to the club, and I wish him the best. I hope he stays because he still makes the difference. We saw that today with that assist. We saw it the other day in the goal against Bologna. I really do hope he stays, but I understand players that after winning the Scudetto twice will want to leave because, you know, at the end, you've kind of achieved your mission, no? Um, so I get it if he wants to leave. I totally get it, and I'm not gonna have any kind of grudge against him if he wants to leave. Like it's definitely not going to be a Kavada situation, you know, where it's like, oh my God, this guy abandoned us. Like it's not going to be like that, you know. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to be, you know, thanks and you know, have a good one. And I think he might go somewhere that probably you know is not going to be Italy, so you know it's not going to be an issue for us. I have a feeling it might be maybe France, man. I've got this feeling that he might go to France. um I see him in like a Marseille kind of environment. I don't know why, but that's the kind of environment that I think I see him in, you know, like French speaking and all that. I don't think he'll go to Saudi. Like I don't think he's the type of player to do that. I think he's too competitive to do that. Um, and I don't think the Premier League's for him. I think you know he obviously comes from the Premier League, but now he's getting older. I think he'll want still a good challenge, but a bit more chill than the Premier League. And I think the League One is a good place for him. Um, let's see. Maximus says, I don't want to lose Lobo. He's been my favorite player the past 3, 4 seasons. It always happens when I buy someone's jersey. Yeah, I've stopped putting names, man, on the back of jerseys. Like I have that Di Lorenzo one, which is signed, um, but that's it. Like the last jersey that I bought with a name on the back was, man, I don't know, like more than 15 years ago. Basically, I learned very young not to do that because then you're left with like, do you think of all the people left with a Higuain shirt? I mean, bro, I would never want that, you know? You can't trust these players, dude. But dude, yeah, Lobo would be sad. Lobo would be sad because I think he's even more important to this Napoli team than Anguissa. So yeah. Um, let's see. Yeah, exactly. I would do an old player throwback. I would. Like I would go buy a Cavani shirt from 10 years ago, you know. I would actually go do that because I know now the type of career he's had, the type of legacy he's left, but you have to do it when the player retires because you know, imagine, you know, the guy goes to your biggest rival at some point in their career, like you don't want to have that name. So yeah, dude. Imagine the scenes at the Maradona in the last match versus Cagliari. I personally hope the Scudetto can be won versus Genoa at home. What Genoa at home, guys, would be way too soon. Like I cannot imagine Inter drop all those points. They would have to lose the next one and tie the one after, or the other way around, at least, you know, or lose both. Um, right? Or can they? What happens if they tie both? Man, it's too late. It's too late to be doing this math, bro. But I think the Genoa at home one might be a little bit too soon. Might be a little bit too soon. I've been trying to find Mertens, Cavani, or Hamsik. It's harder to find one in the US. Dude, you have to yeah, you have to I don't know. I don't know what you have to do to get those old ones. It's very tough. You have to go on the Napoli website and pay a bunch of shipping, probably. That's what you have to do. Anyways, let's go a little bit more forward with the analysis, dude, because we get to the second goal, and here you have Casadei, who's learned his lesson. We talked about it, not for the first goal, like he lost McTominay. Here, he's a lot more, okay, like this is my guy, like I gotta hold him, I gotta do this and that. But he's not able to contain Scott McTominator, and Politano does very good piece of, shimmy, and he's a bit underrated, Politano, now because he's developed into a player that can use both feet. And look, there's not that many wingers that can do this. This is not the same Politano of 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, this is someone that now gives you different options when they're on the ball, and players are still. What's surprising me is that they're still kind of caught by surprise when Politano goes on his right foot. But if you look at it from like a purely statistical point of view, I swear he goes more now for a right foot cross than a left foot cross. Like, pay attention, and he does that. So it's surprising to me that defenders are still surprised. It's very strange. Um, but he puts this in, and obviously Scott, he's Scott, and Casadei is trying and trying, but man, no way, no way. And it's surprising because Casadei comes from the Premier League. You'd think that he could be someone that can go up against McTominay, but no, but no. And then we have this beautiful moment here, guys, with the fans. What I don't like this year is that they're not going underneath the curva. Before they used to go underneath curva B, curva A, like get right underneath, jump with the fans. Now it's almost as if they've been instructed to stay within the field. And it's not just at the end of the game, but I've also noticed that when we score, there's very few times when they go to the curva B or the curva A. I don't know if there was some kind of instruction for them not to do this. But yeah, I don't know. Did Dom already talk about the scooter incident? Lol. Yeah, okay. This is great because I forgot about it. I did want to bring it up. So for those of you guys that don't know, there was a video released a few days ago by well, by someone that basically entered the stadium at night with a scooter. Okay, and everybody's like, "What? How can you just enter the stadium, like literally, like enter the field with a scooter? Like, how do you even do that?" It's like, where's the security and where's that? And surely, like, this shouldn't be happening and all this. And all I'm all I'm saying is like only in Naples, man. Only in Naples can you enter a football stadium with a scooter. But I am surprised at some people saying like, "Oh, dude, where's the security? Where's that?" Dude, I've been there when it was closed. Like my first experience of the San Paulo at the time was going there with my uncle on a random day, and this was maybe, I don't know, 2005 or something like this, 2003. And yeah, you could just walk in and go on the and like sit down on the seats. I mean, obviously that's 20 years ago, so it's a bit different, but I remember that I walked through, and it was just empty, and it was just us two uh, at the stadium. So it's not like these guys are the first people to do it because I did it. Um, but I guess what's shocking is that they got on the field. So I guess that's different than going to where the seats are. But yeah, I guess that's because it's tough to get on the field because there's this whole area, no, that you have to it's like a pit, of like 2 meters that you have to cross. So um yeah. But damn, I don't know if you can do that now. Nowadays you can't because now you have the automatic what do you call those things that like you have in the metros that you have to the turnstiles, no? But like 20 years ago, man, you didn't have that. Damn, Dom got that unk status. Uncle status. Speaking about getting into the stadium without maybe being allowed to, um, maybe I told you guys no, but basically my dad, he always tells me that so he was at uni in Naples at the time of Maradona being there. No, he was studying at the university, and a lot of his friends were stewards at the stadium. So obviously, my dad, for like I don't know what was it, like 5, 7 years that Maradona was at Napoli, literally like every every time every time there was a game he could go for free because his friends were the ones checking tickets. And back in the days it wasn't anything electronic, like it was literally like you just have to show your ticket to someone, and and if that someone's your friend, well, guess what, man, you have a seat in the stadium, or someone's seat in the stadium, I guess, because you clearly took it off someone else. But I mean, back then, it didn't really matter. Like you just squeeze in. Now we're a lot more. Now fans are a lot more bourgeoisie. Like, oh no, this is my seat. I'm number 82. Back then, it was just you just enter the stadium and that's it, and you find whatever seat you find. And if your seat's taken, and maybe you sit on the stairs or something. So yeah, and it's true, man. Those stadiums do have character, and it's like being in ancient times. Let's hope we get the stadium at the Euros, dude. There's a lot of talks about that, about Naples potentially not being a host city for the Euros, which would be crazy. Would be crazy, man. Would be crazy. Hey Dom, I'm late to the stream, but it's good to see us take the advantage. Worried about all those injuries, though. We don't have tough rivals, but we know they are the toughest for us. I think we'll be fine. Like, Anguissaz looked like a knock. Lobotka looked like cramps, and Buongiorno is the one that we need to a little bit be worried about. But look, Buongiorno was not supposed to be playing actually today. I have the photo actually. He was not supposed to be playing. He made a kind of a last minute effort to be available, and it seems like maybe that's as much as he could take, 60 minutes. Now, did this worsen his condition and set him back from his recovery? I don't know. I don't know. I hope that it doesn't, because I don't think that we necessarily needed him today. I think we could have taken that risk with Rafa Marin, but hey, I just hope that he's able to come back next week, but like properly, you know, come back. Otherwise, let's just rest him, and let's not ruin such a young player. Like, because that's the thing, we have to think long term with Buongiorno. We can't be having him be injured every 2 weeks. If I was in charge of Napoli's transfers, who would I realistically want to sign this summer? Definitely need a left winger. definitely need it. And I think we see with Spinazzola that a type of left winger that can, dribble a little bit, that's good technically. It's what allows us to play really well. Um, so so I would go for that kind of profile of player. It's very difficult to know how what player because it depends on how much budget you want to spend on that position. How badly do you want to fill that position? I think we should be spending quite a lot there because it's an important position. And who should we go for? I think I think that PSV player, um, Noah Lang, he said in an interview that he'd like to come. So that's always good when a player says that they like to come. And I think you can get him for 20, 30 million. And I think he's a decent player. And it allows you to build some depth also in other places. Because I don't want to be spending like 70, because we have a lot of positions to fill. So I want to buy like players for, I wish we buy players for like 30 million, like we did with Scott, with Lukaku, with Buongiorno. You can get good players for 30 million. Like you don't have to break the bank. And I think he's one of them. So that could be good. Ndoye from Bologna, the one that scored it, that crazy goal against us. That's a good shout. Um, so yeah, I think for 30 million you could buy some decent players. So yeah, Garnacho, look, I've a little bit changed my mind on him. I was a bit more hyped a few months ago, um, but now it's like seeing his last 6 months, it's like nah, nah. Right, guys, it's super late. It's past midnight. Let's just see what Conte had to say, and then we go nap, okay? We go chill. All right. Conte. Um, so they asked him what changed in the way that you guys managed the game, and he says, "Look, it's not the first time that we go into the lead of the game. We have been also first in the table more than anybody else this season. So, we know how to manage these situations. It's not something new." But now the games are less and less, and any little mistake can be very important. We are mathematically in the Champions League. It's a very important milestone economically for the club, and you also have to enjoy this a little bit. And we are transferring emotions to ourselves and to our fans, and it's something super nice. Um, and now they ask him, there's 4 steps for the miracle, and he says, yes, 4 steps. I told my players that as well. It was not easy because we had a very strange day yesterday. I don't know why we had a strange day yesterday, but he says I didn't watch Inter earlier today because I already suffer for my own games. So I didn't want to watch Inter. The boys, I let them do whatever they wanted, whether they wanted to watch Inter or not, even though there was a risk that they could lose some mental energies. Before the game, I told the boys that um, nothing changed. We still have to go out and win, and we had great motivation. They performed very well. The fans were incredible, and we found it very hard to even enter the stadium, and this is very nice. Today, we think about today, and then tomorrow we think about the next one. Guess who didn't find it hard to enter the stadium? The guys on the scooter. Anyways, they ask him then, most importantly, about the injuries, and he says, um, for Anguissa, it's very difficult to know at the moment. We think that he just got a hit. For Buongiorno, we have to wait 24 to 48 hours to know. He had this issue, and now we have to do a diagnosis on it. But it's very difficult to do it now. We have to wait a little bit. And, we're very used to dealing with these kind of emergencies, and we just have to do this for the next few games. So, so that's that. Um, so let's see what Politano has to say, and also maybe some other players. So Politano says, we knew the importance of this game and the 3 points. We have 4 games to go, and we have to think game after game because Inter is strong and they won't give up easily. I'm happy for the assist and the way that I played. We prepared this very well. I like to play with Scott and Frank. Together, we played very well. Scott's an incredible player. He has an incredible sense of positioning and getting into the end of crosses. It's his 11th goal. Even Frank scored a lot, and Romelu Lukaku was very important for us. So we found a lot of solutions this year that are new. We have had some small injuries, but we're showing that we are a team that can cope with that, and um, it's now time to go plus 6 points on Inter before they play their next game. Elmas says that uh, Elmas says that there was something with him um, and almost returning to Napoli in the past. So yeah, that's a little scoop from Elmas, and then he speaks about other things. And Spinazzola says that if we win the Scudetto, it would be super deserved. So the players now are starting to speak about it, obviously a lot more openly. Guys, I just want to end it maybe with the match predictor. I don't know if Brian or Vinny are watching, but they're the only two that played the last month. To be fair, there's not that many of you that play this game, but Vinny won, and he's the first winner in a long time that is not Brian, and he won by 1 point. So yeah, that's good, and it's the last game of the month, so he's our monthly winner. What we need to do now, well, what I need to do is schedule a call with both of them, either together or separately, and invite them onto the show because that's the reward that you get by winning the match predictor game for the month. So I got to get on that, and I think there's no better time to do it. So apologies that maybe this hasn't happened sooner, but yeah, we'll get this we will get this video done. Right. Would McTominay win a one-on-one versus a gorilla? Dude, 100 gorillas would lose to Scott McTominay. Okay? 100 would lose against Scott McTominay. That's my view on that. Anyways, guys, that's everything from me. I'm gonna leave it there. If you're watching this tonight, have a good night. Sleep well. If you're at the gym, keep pushing. If you're having breakfast, keep slurping your milk or whatever you do for breakfast. Um, and if you're at work listening to me, um, then just keep grinding, keep doing what you do. Anyways, guys, I hope that's everything. Well, that is everything from me. And as always, guys, Forza Napoli sempre, and remember, la capolista se ne va. Ciao.